And welcome to Tara Mini Reads, Reviews, Discusses, Monologues about everything and anything, and that's on period. Hi guys, welcome to my channel. So today I'm just gonna jump straight into it. I'm gonna be doing a wrap up for April. And in April, I read 5 books. So I have been reading this Echoes Saga series since about February, since about the beginning of the year. So it's such a huge world. And there, like, just the first part of the series is 9 books. So I have finished 3 books, the first trilogy, and I continued on the next 3 books. So I'm done with those, and that was mostly what I read in April. And I'll just talk about it really briefly because again, these are like series, so if and it's like smack in the middle of the series. But I'll just go ahead and the first one was The Fall of Neverdark. So this is Echo Saga's number 4, series book number 4, The Fall of Neverdark. And in this book, the first age has kind of like concluded in the first trilogies, which I have a dedicated video coming out where I kind of expand on this series. So once I have it up, you definitely go on. It's a little spoilery, so just just watch it if you know you have read the books. Anyways, back to Fall of Neverdark. So we are continuing on from the events that happened in the first trilogy, where so now let's say like 15 years have passed or something like that. And so we see in The Fall of Neverdark that orcs, who were technically not in the picture the first 3 books, are now given center stage, and we see like someone manipulating events behind the scene, and granting the orcs a way to be able to come to the surface world, because the orcs cannot stand in sunlight, so they cannot come up. So whenever they were in play, decades of years ago, before they got defeated, the orcs could not come to the top when it was like daylight, so they would always attack at night. But they were defeated, and that was it. So we see someone that is manipulating events. So he goes to meet the orcs like deep down in the depths of the earth, and he's like, "Hey, I have a way for you guys to be able to come up to the surface, and you can take over, the world pretty much." And the orcs call the surface level as Neverdark, because it's literally never dark, right? Except at night. So that's where the Fall of Neverdark comes in. Also, just want to quickly say, I love it when the title of the book is used some way in the book, or is mentioned, or is like, just talked about. I really like that, because it's like, oh, the Fall of Neverdark. Anyway, so we see the orcs start to wage war on humans. They start to raid countries. Then a lot of villages are being destroyed. The orcs are like literally on a killing spree, and surprise, surprise. Okay, so in the first trilogy, something happens close to the end where I'm just like, one of the main characters is like, and I'm like, come on. I mean, I get it, but come on. I wish I can go back and be like, calm down, because yeah, something happens where we see a beloved character come back to life, and a lot of things happen. So we follow Reina and her husband. Yeah, she does get together with what's his name? I forgot. I'll put it up. So she gets together with the husband. They have kids in this new series. It's Inara and Alija. So basically, we still see some of the characters from the first trilogies, but in this books we're kind of following the descendants of Reyna. You know, Reyna is the elf princess who came to save mankind the first time from Valanis, who was an evil elf. So anyway, we kind of follow Inara and Elijah on their journey. So we do see some beloved characters from the first trilogies, like we do see Reyna, and we see the dwarf, we see we see the werewolf. I mean, we see a couple of people, Russell and all of that, but we don't follow their stories as opposed to the way we follow Inara and Elijah. And the story literally is based on the two of them. So they're twins, and we kind of see that there is like a hostile, like sibling rivalry going on between them. Elijah has left his home and he is trying to make his way without his parents interference, right? Because his parents are like hero of the ages. So it's such an immense mantle that's placed on him and the sister, but she became a dragoon, so Elijah is not, and so we kind of follow all of that in the first the Fall of Neverdark. Meanwhile, the orcs are raiding and doing stuff. So there's a lot going on in the first books. By the end of the book, the orcs kind of win, whereas they have taken over all the countries, all the world, all the states. Like they literally, all the states are overrun by orcs. They have killed a lot of people, and mankind is struggling to take back their strongholds. So we go on to the next book, which is Kingdom of Bones. That is the Echoes Saga, number 5. And here, there's like different quests going on. Reyna and her husband, I really need to remember his name. It's gonna mess me up. Okay, so Reyna and her husband are kind of like, ambassadors. So they are sent to the dwarf kingdom to try to see if they can rally help. I think. No. There's something going on. So they are sent as ambassadors to the orcs because some mankind and the orcs have a dispute. So they're sent over to kind of help the dispute, and then things happen. And then we follow Elijah, who Elijah is he got mixed up in some things from the first book. And so the second book is trying to like figure out what's going on, and he's working with Gideon to figure out how to cure his ailments that was inflicted on him from the first book, The Fall of Neverdark. Inara is also working with Gideon. She's a dragoon, so technically she's like a protector of the realm. So she is, trying to see how to help people and to help the countries with her dragon Aethys. So it's like a segmented kind of, everyone is on like a different quest, and they're all trying to see how to defeat the orcs. And then we have I will not say who, because I don't want to spoil it, but we do have one other character that is back, and he also is bonded in a weird way to one of the dragons, and that's a whole mess. So Kingdom of Bones is pretty good, not so bad for a middle book. I don't think so. I think it did pretty well. And then second to the last is the Age of the King, where so a running theme in all of the books is where it is said that Elijah is supposed to be a king, and so we see events start to take place that kind of signal that Elijah is going to be king, and he's going to be the one to bring back mankind together. So in Age of the King, humankind comes together to the last bastion of hope, where they will face the orcs, Namdor. So pretty much for like 50% of the book is just like fighting. There's fighting scenes, and there's some politics here and there. But it ended pretty well, right? They were able to defeat the orcs. Some strange things happened, And then Elijah is tortured. He's captured by the person who's orchestrating stuff behind the scenes. I think his name is the Crow. So is it the Crow? I have to check. So he is captured by the Crow. Let's just say the Crow. He's captured by the Crow guy, I think in book 5. And then he is supposedly being trained to become a king. So he goes through like different like lessons that the Crow is trying to teach him, where the Crow is literally torturing him. Like they beat him up, they use cold water therapy, like they give him questionable things. I mean, it was it's like literally breaking someone down. So that's what happens to Elijah. So also his parents and sister are trying to rescue him. So a lot of things go happen in this 3 books. It's kind of, I'm just trying to condense the story, but a lot of things really happen in the 3 books, where by the end of the book it kind of feels like the end of a saga, where the orcs are defeated. Mankind is like trying to recover and get them, get back their kingdoms and countries that were overrun by orcs, since the orcs have literally been defeated. And they crowned a new king, not Elijah, which was interesting, because the way the book was set up, I felt like at the end of the books Elijah was going to be the king, and he was not. So that's why we have the next set of books, 3 other books. The first one is the Last of the Dragoon. So it's continuing off, which I have also started that one. That would be book 7. I'm still reading it, but we're just kind of going through what happens and how Elijah will become the king. So again, it's like let me say like a fantasy multi-generational books, where the first series we followed the parents when they were younger, and they became hero of the ages pretty much. And then the next books we follow their children, where their children are now the ones, the more the ones that are now the it kids, whatever. So it's still a fantastic read. I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, just reading such big books just over an extended period is, it gets tiring, and sometimes I want to read something else just to take me out of the story and come back, because reading 9 books all the way through is very hard. So I mean, like I said, I have a very dedicated video, a fully dedicated video to the Echo Saga, coming out in a couple of weeks. So feel free to watch it if you want to understand most of the stuff I'm saying. I'm really trying to keep it as spoiler free as possible, just in case anyone is tempted to pick it up. So the Echo Saga series by Philip Quaintrell, still, top reads. I would definitely recommend. And there is a lot of books in the whole like series, so there's you will be busy, if you start. There's definitely books to tide you over for a very long time, depending on how fast you read. Yeah. Okay, so the next books that I read in April were actually 2 books, where I have a detailed review about those 2 books out already. So if you are interested, you can go ahead and watch those. I do go a little into spoilers, but not so much. So it's still, if those kind of stories interest you. And that would be The Stationery Shop by Marjan Kamali and Homeseeking by Carissa Chen. So these 2 books are kind of like second chance stories, where we have 2 couples that were lovers or engaged to be married, and they got separated due to circumstances that neither of them could control. And then we see we see them in future, like 30 years later, where they are reunited and trying to figure out what really went wrong, right? So in homes, let me just start with this one. So in Stationery Shop, this is set in Tehran, Iran, and this is there's like a political backdrop a war going on, or like a struggle, like a political struggle going on. And so Roya and Batman meet in a stationery shop where they fall in love, they love books and that kind of stuff. And they are also, well, Batman is like a political activist, so he's really involved in the war, or the political struggle that's going on. And due to some reasons, he and Roya are unable to get married. So Roya, holding a broken heart, decides to move out of terrain, and she goes to California where she meets her future husband, and she lives a life outside of her true love. In Homeseeking, this is set in China, Hong Kong, and there is also they also moved to the U.S. LA to be precise. So that's actually another reason why I did a video for these two books, because they're so similar, very similar. Just there's some difference here and there, but it's literally like I'm reading the same story, but just like this is set in China, so a whole different culture, a whole different like set of things. And this is set in Iran, which I don't think I've ever read a book set in terrain. So this was an eye opener for sure, learning about the food, the culture, and all of that stuff. For Homeseeking, it's pretty much the same thing. Haiwan and Suchi met when they were younger. They were neighbors actually, and so they were in love and they were going to get married, but there was a war at the period, and Haiwan got enlisted, unfortunately, and so he had to leave his family and Suchi, and they don't meet until like maybe 10-15 years after. Of course, everyone has kind of moved on. Haiwan is actually married to someone else, and Suchi is about to get married. So obviously they don't get together then, but then they meet in 60 years. They meet 60 years later. I don't know if they're gonna mention the part when they met earlier, but yeah. Anyways, so Haiwan meets Suchi in Los Angeles for the first time in 60 years, and so they try to get back. Not like they try to get back together, but obviously, this is someone that they were like seriously in love, so they're kind of drawn to each other as old people and like as their grandparents right now. So, but they, it's such a sweet story. I really enjoyed this. I enjoyed this more than the Stationery Shop. Not because Stationery Shop was not excellent. It's just I really enjoyed how much detailed the author was in this book. She really obviously you could tell she did a lot of research, and also just seeing or hearing things from a different angle and point of view, where she is trying to show the repercussions of this war and how it just goes down from like one generation to the next and even to the third generation. So it's a really, really eye-opening book. I don't know what it will feel like to leave during those times, and I'm happy I don't ever have to. But yeah, this was definitely my top fave. But the Stationery Shop was also excellent. I also enjoyed it a whole lot. So those were the books that I read and finished in April of 2025. So like I said, I am still continuing on the Echoes Saga series, but hopefully I should wrap it up. I don't think I'm gonna go more than books 9. I know there's other books set, but I want to read other stuff. So yeah, let me know the books you read, or if you picked any of the books that I talked about today. Let me know in the comments. And as always, thank you so much for watching my video. I hope you have a nice and wonderful rest of your day. See you guys in my next video. Bye.